Hello, cherished viewers. I'm Abigail, and today we're embarking on a mesmerizing journey. Together, we'll sail through the echoes of ancient tales and delve deep into the captivating world of Greek mythology. So, fasten your seatbelts, or rather, secure your sails, as we dive into a magical, seafarer's tale that's bound to leave you spellbound. Let's start. Lysander and the Weight of Fate. The temple of Apollo at Delphi was always alive with supplicants. Even as dawn was breaking, the thrum of murmurs, prayers, and whispers would already fill the air, punctuated occasionally by the bleating of goats being led to slaughter in honor of the gods. Yet, today was different. A thick fog blanketed the temple, making it nearly impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. The usually noisy courtyard was eerily silent, save for the subtle tinkling of the wind chimes and the distant sound of the temple bells. Inside the temple, the Pythia, or the Oracle of Delphi, as she was widely known, sat upon her tripod, eyes vacant, breathing deeply the fumes that rose from the chasm below. These vapors, said to be the breath of Apollo himself, gave her the visions that seekers from all over Greece came to hear. But this morning, a vision she did not seek and did not want seared her mind. She saw Zeus, king of the gods, sitting high upon his throne in Olympus, a storm gathering ominously behind him. Below, the world of mortals was in chaos. Cities burned, oceans surged over the land, and the screams of both gods and men filled the air. Then, an even more terrifying sight. The scales of fate held by the Moirai, the fates themselves, tipped dangerously. One side weighed down heavily, pulling the balance of the world with it. The Pythia's trance was shattered by the piercing cry of an eagle, the bird of Zeus. Her eyes, once vacant, were now wide with fear and realization. This wasn't just any vision. This was a prophecy. The world as they knew it was teetering on the brink. However, she also knew the rules. Direct interference in the affairs of gods and mortals was forbidden, and revealing their secrets even more so. Bound by her oath to Zeus, she was trapped, unable to speak of what she had seen. But the weight of the prophecy bore down on her, and she knew she couldn't simply do nothing. Her mind raced. She had to act, but how? Outside the temple, a young man named Lysander was making his way through the fog, his cloak pulled tight against the morning chill. He was an unlikely hero, a simple potter from Athens. He had come to Delphi seeking guidance for a mundane matter, which city to move to in order to expand his pottery business. As he approached the temple, the fog suddenly lifted, revealing the magnificent structure with its towering columns and ornate carvings. He marveled at its beauty, but was soon snapped out of his reverie by a temple priestess who approached him with a sense of urgency. "You are Lysander of Athens?" she asked. Puzzled, Lysander nodded. "Yes, I am. But how did you—" The priestess cut him off. "The oracle wishes to see you. Come with me." Before Lysander could protest, she led him inside the temple, through a series of winding corridors, and into the inner sanctum where the Pythia awaited. The oracle looked up, her eyes filled with a strange mixture of fear and determination. "Lysander," she began, her voice trembling but clear, "I have seen a vision, a prophecy of doom. The balance of the world is at stake, and you have a role to play." Lysander was taken aback. "Me? But I'm just a potter. I came here for advice on my business, not to save the world." The Pythias smiled gently. Often, it's the most unlikely of heroes who rise to the challenge when the world needs them most. "But why me? What do I have to do?" The oracle hesitated, knowing she couldn't reveal the full extent of her vision. "Your journey will take you far and wide to places unknown and dangers untold. But you won't be alone. Others will join you, and together you will uncover the clues that will prevent the impending disaster." Lysander gulped. "And if I refuse?" The Pythia's gaze grew intense. "The fate of the world rests on your shoulders, Lysander. The scales are tipping, and only you can restore the balance." Lysander took a deep breath, the weight of the oracle's words sinking in. "Very well, I will do what I must." The oracle nodded, relief evident in her eyes. "May the gods be with you, Lysander. Your journey begins now." As Lysander stepped out of the temple, the world seemed different, charged with a sense of purpose and urgency. He knew he was embarking on a journey like no other, a journey that would test his mettle and determine the fate of the world. And so, with the oracle's cryptic words echoing in his ears, Lysander set out on his quest, not as a simple potter from Athens, but as a chosen one destined for greatness. Lysander's initial steps outside the temple of Apollo were hesitant. The world outside seemed unchanged yet. To him, it was irrevocably different. He pondered over where to begin when a soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "You appear lost, young potter," a woman draped in robes of deep blue said. Her hair, the color of midnight, flowed freely down her back, and her eyes, like twin moons, seemed to pierce through him. Lysander blinked, disoriented. "I am in more ways than one." "Do I know you?" She chuckled, a sound like wind chimes on a breezy night. "Not yet. My name is Callista. I am a scholar from the Isle of Rhodes. The oracle told me of you." Suspicion crept into Lysander's heart. "Told you what, exactly?" "That our destinies are intertwined. Together with others she has seen, we are meant to restore the balance." Callista's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with Lysander's increasing anxiety. "And why would you wish to join this quest? Its danger and uncertainty." She smiled gently. "For knowledge. The world teeters on the brink, and the knowledge to save it, to understand the fates and their designs, is a lure I cannot resist." Lysander saw the earnestness in her eyes. He nodded. "Very well, if the oracle sees our destinies entwined, I trust her judgment." Their conversation was interrupted by the sudden bustling of the town square. A crowd had formed around a makeshift stage, where a young man with golden curls and an unmistakably arrogant demeanor brandished a lyre. "Behold, I am Orpheus," he declared, "the greatest musician, the world has ever seen. None can resist my melodies, not man, beast, or even stone. As Orpheus strummed his lyre, the crowd was captivated. Lysander felt it too. A pull, an enchantment. Even Callista's moonlit eyes shimmered with appreciation. When the melody ended, Orpheus stepped down, basking in the adulation. Lysander, seeing an opportunity, approached him. That was truly mesmerizing. But what brings you to Delphi, Orpheus? Orpheus looked him up and down, seemingly sizing him up. A dream. A song whispered in the dead of night by Apollo himself, leading me here. And you, Potter, why do you wish to know? Because I believe our paths are intertwined by the oracle's design. Orpheus raised an eyebrow, but seemed intrigued. Go on. Lysander explained the oracle's prophecy, and his and Callista's involvement. By the end, Orpheus seemed thoughtful. So, you believe my music, my gift, has a role to play? Callista interjected. Music is powerful. It can calm, inspire, and unite. In times of imbalance, perhaps it's unity that we need. Orpheus smirked. Well, when you put it that way, how can I resist? Orpheus is on board. Their trio didn't remain one for long. By nightfall, they were approached by a warrior, Alexios, who had dreams of a world in chaos, and the oracle had whispered in his ear of a potter and his companions. Lysander's group grew as days turned to nights and nights to days. Aelia, a healer from Corinth, who believed the natural balance of the world affected that of the body and soul. Nikitas, a thief with a heart of gold who had stolen a glimpse of the future and wished to amend his ways. And Thalassa, a mysterious woman who claimed to speak to the very elements, especially water. Each had a story, a reason the oracle had chosen them. Together, they formed a motley crew of heroes, each unique yet essential. One evening, as they camped under the starlit sky, Lysander voiced a concern that had been gnawing at him. We're gathered. Yes, but what are we to do? Where do we go? It was Thalassa who answered, her eyes reflecting the deep blue of the ocean to the edges of the world where the balance first tipped. And where is that? Orpheus asked. Thalassa closed her eyes, whispering to the wind and water around her. After what felt like an eternity, she spoke to the Pillars of Hercules, where the Mediterranean meets the great expanse of the Atlantic. A murmur ran through the group. The journey would be treacherous, full of unknown dangers. Callista, ever the voice of reason, said, we have a direction, a purpose. We must trust in our strengths and each other. Alexios stood, drawing his sword and planting it firmly on the ground. To the pillars then, for the world's balance and our destinies. One by one, each member declared their commitment, and by dawn, they set off, united in purpose, driven by a prophecy. Their journey would take them through lands unknown, facing challenges that would test their mettle, but with the oracle's vision guiding them, they ventured forth, a beacon of hope in a world on the brink of chaos. The journey to the Pillars of Hercules was not a straight path. the group faced their first challenge upon reaching the city, state of Corinth, where the narrow land bridge connected the Peloponnese to mainland Greece. The isthmus, as crucial as it was for travel and trade, was also a hotspot for brigands and other unsavory characters. They decided to halt for the night just outside Corinth, in a secluded glade. The gentle gurgling of a nearby stream mixed with the whispers of the wind created a serene atmosphere. Here, under the guidance of Callista, the group began to truly forge bonds. Each shared stories of their past and their reasons for joining this fateful journey. As the evening deepened, Lysander, ever the inquisitive one, turned to Thalassa. "You seem to carry the weight of an even deeper story, one of the elements themselves." Thalassa hesitated, her gaze lost in the depths of the dancing flames. Finally, she began. "I was not always as you see me. I was once the spirit of a great river flowing freely, nourishing the lands." The group exchanged glances, surprise evident on their faces. She continued, "But as the balance tipped, I felt it deep within my waters. The connection between the realms weakened, and I was given a choice. Continue as a river or take a mortal form to help restore the balance. Why choose mortality?" Alia questioned, her healer's instincts attuned to pain and suffering. Thalassa's voice was soft. "For love. Love for this world and all its wonders. Love for the harmony that once was." Her revelation made the group's resolve stronger. They were not just on a quest. They were fighting for the very essence of the world. The next morning, as they approached Corinth, they were stopped by a detachment of Corinthian guards. "Halt. No one is allowed to pass. The city has been taken over by a rogue faction, claiming to be agents of the fates." Alexios, always ready for a fight, gripped his sword, but Callista, with a calming gesture, asked, "What do they want?" The guard, looking visibly distraught, replied, "They demand a tribute, a relic said to be in the city. The Eye of the Moirae. Until it's handed over, no one enters or leaves Corinth." Nikitas, the thief with a wealth of information on valuable artifacts, whispered, "The eye is said to grant its bearer a vision of the strings of fate. If they get it." Lysander finished his thought. "They could see our destinies and potentially alter or even sever them." The gravity of the situation was clear. They needed to retrieve the eye before the rogue faction did. That night, under the cover of darkness, the group, led by Nikitas, sneaked into Corinth. The city, known for its prosperity, now seemed eerily subdued. Using a series of underground passages and shortcuts, they reached the heart of the city where the temple housing the eye stood. Guarding it was a maze of traps and puzzles. Orpheus's music soothed the enchanted beasts, while Callista's knowledge helped decipher the riddles. After what felt like hours, they reached the chamber of the eye. The artifact was mesmerizing. A crystal orb with swirling colors inside, almost like a miniature galaxy. As Lysander reached out to take it, a voice boomed, "Stop!" The rogue faction's leader, a tall, imposing figure with an aura of dark energy, stood at the chamber's entrance. "The eye will be ours. Your little quest ends here." But Thalassa, tapping into her elemental powers, conjured a wall of water, separating them from the intruders. Go. I'll hold them off. With the eye secured, the group retreated, battling their way out. With Corinth behind them, they paused to catch their breath. We have the eye, Lysander panted. But what now? Where do we go? Thalassa, her energy drained but spirit unwavering, whispered, to where the winds hold secrets, to Aeolus on his floating isle. Only he can guide us further. And so, with the weight of destiny and the eye of the Moirai in their hands, the group set forth, navigating the challenges of the present while the winds of fate whispered of trials yet to come. Upon their arrival on the floating isle of Aeolus, the group was informed about the captured enema, each imprisoned within a distinct labyrinth. The severity of the challenge became clear. Each maze was uniquely tailored to its wind god's essence, offering trials that required more than just brute strength or intellect. Lysander, drawing on his leadership, proposed a strategy. We should tackle one labyrinth at a time. Together, each maze will be a test of our combined skills. Aeolus pointed towards the northern part of the island, where the land was blanketed in snow and ice. Begin with Boreas. The North Wind's labyrinth is one of cold and endurance. The labyrinth of Boreas. The entrance was an ornate archway made of glistening ice. As they stepped through, the atmosphere changed instantaneously. The warmth of the outside world vanished, replaced by a bone-chilling cold. The walls were transparent, adding to the disorientation. Every turn looked identical. Alia, her senses attuned to changes in life energy, felt the weight of the cold. We must keep moving. Staying in one place for too long will drain our strength. Orpheus, strumming his lyre, played a melody that brought a brief warmth to the group. Nikitas, using his experience from navigating the streets and alleys of many cities, tried to make sense of the paths. There were symbols etched in the ice at various intervals. Callista, drawing on her extensive knowledge, recognized them as ancient runes. These represent the different stages of winter, from the first snowfall to the deepest freeze. As they deciphered the runes and progressed, they faced challenges that tested both mind and body. In one chamber, they had to rearrange giant ice blocks to create a path, all while enduring a continuous snowstorm conjured by the imprisoned Boreas. In another, they encountered frozen statues of previous adventurers, a grim reminder of the labyrinth's dangers. Thalassa, tapping into her elemental nature, tried to communicate with the trapped water molecules within the ice. The heart of the maze, she whispered, lies beneath. With that insight, the group found a spiral staircase leading downwards. The cold intensified, but so did their determination. At the bottom, they found Boreas, chained and surrounded by a vortex of swirling snowflakes. Alexios approached cautiously, every step causing the ground to frost beneath him. Drawing his sword, he shattered the chains binding the north wind. Boreas, once released, let out a gust that dispelled the eternal winter inside the labyrinth. Grateful, Boreas spoke, his voice like a howling wind. "You have my thanks, mortals, and one not entirely so." He glanced at Thalassa. "The rogue faction aimed to use my power to plunge the world into endless winter." Lysander, ever focused, replied, "We must free your siblings, ensure the balance is restored." Boreas nodded. "The labyrinths of my brothers, Notus and Zephyrus, and my elusive sister, Eurus, await. Each will test you in ways distinct from mine." Emerging from the icy maze, the group found themselves changed. Their bond was stronger, forged in the crucible of Boreas's frozen trials. As they prepared for the next challenge, they knew that together they could face any storm, literal or otherwise. The floating isle of Aeolus, with its secrets and trials, was just the beginning. The world's balance teetered, and the journey to restore it was filled with challenges, both external and internal. But the group's spirit, like the unyielding flame of an eternal torch, continued to burn bright. With Boreas freed and his icy realm conquered, the group's gaze shifted southward towards the serene domain of Notus, the south wind. If Boreas's labyrinth was a trial of cold endurance, Notus's maze promised challenges of a different, more blistering kind. The entrance to Notus's domain was in stark contrast to Boreas's icy archway. Here, a great golden gateway, shimmering with heat, stood surrounded by dunes of red sand. As they approached, waves of heated air danced before their eyes, creating mirages that distorted the path ahead. Orpheus, strumming a calming tune on his lyre, remarked, "This is not just a test of navigation, but also of discernment. Not everything we see will be real." Thalassa, ever connected to the world's elements, could feel the restless stirrings of the imprisoned Notus. "His anger and frustration are manifesting in these scorching winds," she murmured. The moment they stepped through the gateway, the intensity of the desert hit them. The sun, magnified in potency, bore down mercilessly, while the sands beneath their feet seemed to scald with every step. Aelia, her healer's senses tingling, advised, "We must protect ourselves from the sun and heat. Any prolonged exposure might be harmful." Using her knowledge of herbs and plants, she fashioned makeshift sun hats for the group, using leaves that reflected some of the sun's rays. The initial part of the maze was open, with towering sand dunes that shifted with the wind, reshaping the path continuously. At one point, a vast expanse of what appeared to be a refreshing oasis appeared in the distance, with clear blue waters and shade, offering palm trees. But Niketas, using a piece of polished metal, observed the oasis's reflection and noticed its slight wavering. "It's a mirage," he deduced. Guided by both his urban navigation skills and Thalassa's elemental insights, the group dodged several such mirages, conserving their energy and resources. The labyrinth soon changed in character. The open desert gave way to deep, narrow canyons, their walls glowing red. Hot, the air within these canyons was stifling, and the echoing winds carried with them whispers, likely the frustrated murmurs of the imprisoned Notus. In one such canyon, they faced a challenge unlike any other. A wall of fire blocked their way, its flames leaping hungrily, almost sentient in nature. Callista, recalling ancient texts, spoke. This is the fire of trial. Legend says that only by offering something personal can one pass. One by one, the group approached the flames. Alexios, remembering his past failures, offered his guilt and self-doubt. As he whispered his regrets to the fire, a path cleared for him. Orpheus, with a deep sigh, offered a haunting tune of lost love, and the flames danced aside, letting him pass. Each member of the group faced their inner demons and fears, feeding them to the fire of trial, and in doing so, found their way forward. The final chamber of the maze was a vast cavern, at the center of which Notice was bound, his fiery essence chained by dark, swirling energies. The heat in the chamber was nearly unbearable, with streams of molten rock flowing around them. Lysander, sweat pouring down his brow, declared, "We free him together." And together they did. Drawing from their individual strengths and the bonds forged through their journey, they dispelled the dark energies binding Notice. With a roar that sounded like the fiercest of summer storms, the south wind was freed. His form, a swirling vortex of hot air and sand, approached them. Mortals, his voice boomed like a desert tempest. You have my gratitude. In chaining me, they sought to unleash unending droughts upon the world. With Notice free, the atmosphere of the labyrinth changed. The oppressive heat lessened, and the once confusing mirages no longer littered the path. Their exit from the maze was unhindered. Outside, the group took a moment to rest and reflect. They had faced trials of both cold and heat, ice and fire. Their journey was far from over, but the lessons learned within the labyrinths of the Anamois would stay with them, guiding them through the challenges yet to come. As the sun began its descent, casting a golden hue over Aeolus's isle, they prepared to journey west, where the ever-shifting maze of Zephyrus, the west wind, awaited. The western quadrant of Aeolus's floating isle was a stark contrast to the burning deserts of Notice. Here, fields of tall grass danced to an unseen rhythm, and groves of ancient trees whispered of times long past. But the beauty was marred by a palpable sense of unease. The influence of the trapped Zephyrus was evident. As the group approached the entrance of the West Wind's labyrinth, they were met with a sight both breathtaking and foreboding. A vast forest with trees reaching skyward, their canopies lost in the mists above. The entrance was a natural archway formed by intertwining tree branches, adorned with delicate, silver-hued leaves that shimmered in the ambient light. Lysander, pausing to take in the scene, remarked, "It's like we're about to enter the very heart of nature." Orpheus, plucking a gentle tune on his lyre, added, "And yet, there's a sadness in the air. The trees mourn for their bound guardian." Venturing in, the group soon realized that this was no ordinary forest. Paths that seemed straight and clear would twist and turn unpredictably. Trees would shift and clearings would close, reconfiguring the maze constantly. Thalassa, touching the bark of one ancient oak, whispered, "The forest is alive, reacting to our presence. We need to move with purpose and respect." Deep within the forest, they encountered clearings where time seemed to stand still. In one such clearing, they saw ghostly apparitions of events from the past. A young Zephyrus playing with nymphs, teaching birds their songs, and dancing with the trees. These visions provided clues, hints on correct paths to take or dangers to avoid. In another clearing, they faced a challenge that would test their trust in each other. A large, serene pond lay before them, its waters clear as crystal. At its center was a stone pedestal with a gleaming silver key. Aelia, her voice filled with wonder, noted, "The waters show our reflections, but they're different. They show alternate versions of us, paths we might have taken." Indeed, the reflections were eerily sentient. Alexios's reflection was that of a ruthless warlord, armor drenched in blood. Lysander's showed him as a solitary wanderer, devoid of companions or purpose. Callista, piecing the puzzle together, said, "We must confront and reconcile with these alternate selves to retrieve the key." One by one, the group approached the pond. They conversed with their reflections, addressing regrets, acknowledging different life choices, and gaining insights. With each reconciliation, a stepping stone emerged from the pond's depths, allowing them to progress towards the key. The next phase of the maze was even more bewildering. The ground was covered in a thick layer of mist, reducing visibility to almost nothing. The trees here were ethereal, their trunks transparent and their leaves emitting a soft glow. Guided by the soft glow and the whispers of the trees, the group navigated this foggy expanse. Nikitas, drawing on his instinct and experience, led the way, his senses tuned to any change in the environment. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached the heart of the labyrinth. Here, in a grand clearing bathed in moonlight, Zephyrus was bound. His form, a vortex of gentle breezes and soft scents, was tethered by dark chains that pulsed with an ominous energy. As they approached, the very air around them seemed to resist, filled with the mournful cries of the wind. But this group, having come so far and faced so much, would not be deterred. Drawing on their individual strengths and the bonds forged in the fires of trial, they confronted the dark energies. Orpheus's music clashed with the discordant pulses, while Thalassa channeled the elemental energies of the earth to counteract the chains. Alia, tapping into her healing abilities, soothed the wounded spirit of Zephyrus, and Alexios, with a swing of his sword imbued with the group's collective will, shattered the chains. With a gust that felt like the first breeze of spring, Zephyrus was free. The entire forest seemed to come alive, celebrating the release of its guardian. Grateful, the west wind spoke, his voice soft and melodious. "You have freed not just me, but the very essence of nature." The rogue elements sought to silence the songs of the forest forever. Lysander, ever the leader, nodded in acknowledgement. "2 more challenges await. We are prepared." As they exited the labyrinth, the whispers of the trees carried with them gratitude and blessings. The mists cleared to reveal pathways not seen before, and the weight of the journey, though immense, was carried with the grace of the wind at their backs. The eastern quadrant of Aeolus's island was a realm of shadows and echoes. Eurus, the east wind, was known for its unpredictability. It whispered secrets from distant lands and carried with it tales of long forgotten civilizations. As the group journeyed towards Eurus's domain, the terrain shifted dramatically. Rolling hills gave way to deep valleys and towering cliff faces. The sky here was a tapestry of purples and deep blues, with the distant glow of dawn perpetually on the horizon, as if morning was forever waiting to break. The entrance to the labyrinth was a vast, stone-carved portal, ornately decorated with symbols and glyphs from ancient tongues. A gentle breeze emanated from within, carrying with it faint echoes of distant conversations and the sweet aroma of unknown flowers. Stepping inside, they found themselves in a cityscape, a breathtaking replica of an ancient civilization with towering ziggurats, intricate palaces, and winding market streets. The architecture was reminiscent of ancient Babylon or Persia, but with details and flourishes that hinted at a culture they had never encountered before. Orpheus, strumming a soft tune, mused. It's as if Eurus has recreated memories of lands he's touched, an echo of a world lost to time. But this mesmerizing city was not devoid of challenges. The streets were labyrinthine, with paths leading to dead ends or looping back onto themselves. Faint apparitions, like translucent memories, roamed the streets, reenacting ancient rituals, celebrations, and even conflicts. One such apparition, a regal queen adorned in shimmering garments, approached Lysander. To navigate Eurus's maze, she intoned, "You must understand the stories of this land, for every path is tied to a tale." In the heart of a grand plaza, they came upon their first trial. A large stone pedestal stood with a riddle inscribed, "Born from the earth, I reach for the sky, yet I'm grounded, never to fly. Part of history, in stories I'm found. Where am I now? Look all around." Alexios pondered aloud. It speaks of something monumental, integral to the history of this civilization. Thalassa, touching the stone foundations of the nearby ziggurat, whispered, "It's the ziggurat itself. It's the heart of this ancient culture, reaching skyward but rooted in the earth." With that realization, a path opened, leading them deeper into the city and further into the maze. As they ventured further, they encountered more such challenges. Some riddles, some physical trials, like crossing a bridge made of swirling winds or deciphering ancient scripts to unlock gateways. Within a grand library, a repository of the civilization's knowledge, they faced their most intimate challenge yet. Scrolls and tomes flew open, revealing not the history of the ancient city, but the personal histories of each group member. Niketas, reading from a scroll that detailed his life, remarked with a hint of pain, "Eurus's maze doesn't just challenge our minds, but our hearts as well." Each member confronted their past, regrets, lost opportunities, and cherished memories. Orpheus, with a tear in his eye, read aloud a poem detailing his doomed love with Eurydice. Thalassa saw the vivid portrayal of her bond with the Z's and the times she felt she failed them. It was a trial of emotion and reconciliation. By confronting and accepting their pasts, the way forward became clear. A grand archway, previously sealed, opened to reveal the heart of the labyrinth. Here, they found Eurus, not bound by chains or shackles, but entrapped within a vortex of swirling memories and echoes. The essence of the east wind was ensnared by an overwhelming deluge of the past. Aelia, her voice firm, declared, "We free Eurus not just by breaking physical binds, but by helping him reconcile with these memories." And so they did. Using the knowledge and understanding they'd gained from navigating the city, they approached the vortex. Orpheus played a tune of acceptance and letting go, while Callista recited tales of the city's glorious past. Each member contributed, weaving tapestry of acknowledgement and release. With their collective efforts, the vortex around Eurus began to dissipate. The east wind, now free, materialized before them, an elegant entity with flowing garments that shimmered like the morning sun. "You have freed me from the chains of overwhelming nostalgia," Eurus spoke, his voice gentle and filled with gratitude. "In my longing for the past, I became ensnared by it." Lysander, bowing slightly, replied, "The past shapes us, but it's the present we must live in, and the future we must strive for." With Eurus freed, the shadowy city began to solidify, becoming less an echo and more tangible. The group made their way out, their spirits lifted and their bonds stronger than ever. As they exited the labyrinth, the perpetual dawn on the horizon finally broke, bathing the eastern quadrant in the warm glow of morning, symbolic of new beginnings and the promise of the future. As they approached the northernmost point of Aeolus's island, the temperature dropped sharply. Snow-capped peaks loomed in the distance, the land blanketed in a thick layer of snow and ice. The air was crisp, every breath forming frosty clouds in front of their faces. Boreas, the north wind, ruled this realm, and his presence was felt in the biting chill and the eerie silence. The entrance to Boreas' labyrinth was a massive ice cave, its entrance guarded by towering statues made entirely of ice, depicting warriors from eras long gone. The statues, although frozen, seemed to possess an inner glow, giving them an almost lifelike appearance. Stepping inside, they were immediately enveloped in darkness. The only light came from bioluminescent crystals embedded in the ice walls, casting a soft blue hue across the cavernous expanse. The echoes of dripping water and distant wind chimes created a haunting melody. Niketas, drawing his cloak tighter around him, remarked, "The cold isn't just physical, it seeps into your very soul here." The maze was not just a series of winding paths, but a multi-layered ice fortress. Staircases carved into the ice led up to lofty bridges suspended over deep chasms, while other paths delved deep underground into frozen lakes and mirrored chambers. Their breaths echoed in the icy hallways as they made their way through the labyrinth. They encountered rooms filled with intricate ice sculptures depicting scenes from various myths: Icarus's fall, Persephone's time in the underworld, and many more. Each sculpture was eerily lifelike, the details exquisitely crafted. In one grand chamber, they faced their first trial. A vast ice rink lay before them, with a shimmering crystal key at its center. But the ice was treacherously slippery, and strong gusts of wind pushed against them. Thalassa, her eyes assessing the situation, said, "We must use the wind to our advantage. Let's harness its power to glide across." With some coordination, using their cloaks as makeshift sails and the gusts of Boreas's wind, they managed to reach the key, albeit with a few comedic slips and falls. As they delved deeper, the challenges grew more cerebral. They entered a chamber where their very shadows, solidified in ice, came to life, mimicking their movements. To proceed, they had to perform a synchronized dance with these icy doppelgangers, a task that required coordination, trust, and mutual understanding. Another room held a vast frozen lake, its surface as smooth as glass. Beneath the ice, they could see a plethora of items, weapons, artifacts, and trinkets. Among them was another key. Callista, her voice echoing, said, "We must identify the real key among the illusions, using only its reflection." Relying on observation and deduction, they identified the true reflection of the key and carefully retrieved it by melting a portion of the ice. But the heart of Boreas's labyrinth was its most haunting. The group entered a vast chamber, its walls adorned with cascading icicles that chimed softly with the circulating winds. At the center stood Boreas, not bound by chains, but encased within a massive ice crystal. His form, swirling with snowflakes and frost, appeared to be in deep anguish. Around him, in a wide circle, were 4 pedestals, each holding an intricate ice puzzle. Alea, pointing towards them, whispered, "We need to solve these to free Boreas." Each puzzle represents an aspect of winter. They split up, each taking a pedestal. Alexios faced a representation of a blizzard with interlocking pieces that needed to be aligned to form a coherent image. Orpheus had a musical puzzle with chimes that needed to be played in the correct sequence to evoke the gentle lullaby of a snowfall. Thalassa worked on an elemental puzzle that depicted the melting and freezing cycles, while Lysander's puzzle was a maze filled with delicate snowflakes. As each puzzle was solved, a portion of the ice encasing Boreas melted away. The wind within the chamber intensified, howling with anticipation and hope. Finally, with the last puzzle completed, the ice shattered, releasing Boreas in a powerful gust that swept through the chamber. The north wind, his form a swirling tempest of snow and frost, regarded them with deep, icy, blue eyes. "You have not only navigated my domain," Boreas spoke, his voice deep and resonating, "but you've also understood the very essence of winter. Its beauty, its desolation, its cycles." Lysander, stepping forward, nodded. "Winter, like all seasons, has its time and purpose. It was not meant to be bound eternally." Boreas, extending an arm, summoned a gust that effortlessly carried the group out of the labyrinth. As they emerged, they were met with a breathtaking sight. The icy domain of Boreas, bathed in the soft glow of the aurora borealis, colors dancing across the sky in celebration of the North Wind's freedom. The end of this trial left the group with a sense of awe and respect for nature's balance and cycles. With the 4 winds freed, their journey was nearing its climax. The final confrontation with the rogue elements awaited. With the freedom of the 4 winds, the island of Aeolus transformed. Skies once dominated by turbulence now danced with breezes, harmonizing in a celestial ballet. The seas calmed, the land flourished, and a sense of balance returned. Yet, their mission was not over. The rogue elements that threatened this harmony had to be confronted. The epicenter of the island's disturbance was a massive ancient amphitheater built in honor of the gods. As the group approached, they could sense the raw energy emanating from it. The amphitheater was not just a place of performance, but also a conduit, a nexus of elemental power. The structure was vast, with towering pillars carved with scenes from legendary tales. The central arena was an ever-shifting mosaic of land, water, and air, mirroring the tumultuous energies trapped within. Upon entering, they were met with a cacophony of elemental fury. Whirlwinds clashed with torrents of water, flames danced with earthen pillars, and amidst it all, 4 towering elemental beings, embodiments of air, water, earth, and fire, raged in a chaotic dance. Callista, shouting above the uproar, exclaimed, "These are the elemental titans, ancient beings who once reigned over the primal world. Someone or something has awoken them from their eons of slumber." Orpheus, strumming a chord on his lyre that resonated with the ambient energy, added, "Their awakening is unnatural. They're out of sync, not harmonizing but clashing. We need to restore that balance." The group strategized quickly. Lysander would engage the Earth Titan, using his agility and connection with nature to navigate the shifting terrains. Thalassa would converse with the Water Titan, merging her oceanic essence with its torrents. Orpheus would employ his melodies to pacify the Air Titan, while Alia, Niketas, and Alexios would combine their strengths to confront the fiery tempest of the Fire Titan. The confrontation was epic. Lysander, darting across platforms of rock and soil, would sing ancient lullabies of the land, reminding the Earth Titan of the deep, tranquil slumbers of mountains and valleys. With each verse, the Titan's tremors lessened, its stone visage softening. Thalassa, her form fluid and ever changing, merged with the Water Titan's torrents, guiding them into harmonious whirlpools and gentle streams. Their dance was one of ebb and flow, of tides and gentle rains. Orpheus's challenge was one of rhythm and resonance. The Air Titan moved with gusts and gales, its form near intangible, but with every strum and note, Orpheus created harmonies, redirecting whirlwinds into gentle breezes and fierce storms into soft zephyrs. The Fire Titan was the most volatile. Alia, harnessing her innate connection to the heavens, summoned clouds to obscure and dampen the flames. Niketas and Alexios, utilizing their combat skills, danced around the fiery being, deflecting eruptions and guiding them safely to the ground. Their goal was not to extinguish, but to calm, to remind the Titan of the warmth of a campfire or the gentle rays of dawn. Hours seemed like moments, and moments felt like eternities. The amphitheater echoed with elemental roars, lyrical chants, and the pure energy of creation. Finally, with a resonating chord from Orpheus, a soothing wave from Thalassa, a grounded touch from Lysander, and a combined effort from Myzania, Niketas, and Alexios, the Titans stilled. Their forms, once towering and tempestuous, shrunk and harmonized, returning to their dormant states as elemental guardians. The amphitheater, once a place of chaos, now pulsed with serene energy. The very pillars and stones seemed to hum in contentment. Exhausted but triumphant, the group congregated at the center of the arena. Callista, her voice filled with emotion, said, "The Titans are not our enemies. They were just lost, out of sync with the world's rhythm. Today, we didn't defeat them. We helped them find their place again." Orpheus, gazing at the tranquil forms of the elemental Titans, added, "Harmony isn't about suppressing or defeating. It's about understanding, adjusting, and resonating together." As the sun set, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson, the group, strengthened by their trials and bonds, prepared for their journey back. The island of Aeolus, now a beacon of balance, stood as a testament to their adventure, a reminder of the delicate harmony between man, nature, and the elements. The sun's early rays painted Aeolus's island in golden hues. Birdsong filled the air, and the gentle breezes carried the scent of blooming flowers. The island, once ensnared in elemental chaos, now thrummed with life and balance. The amphitheater stood quiet and majestic, its stones bearing silent witness to the epic confrontation of the previous day. Emerging from their makeshift camp near the amphitheater, the group gathered, looking out over the transformed landscape. The serene beauty was a stark contrast to the challenges they had faced, reminding them of the impermanence of chaos and the enduring nature of balance. Callista, ever the scholar, was the first to break the silence. "In all my years studying myths and legends, never did I imagine I'd be a part of one. This island, it's a living testament to the power of unity and understanding." Lysander, kneeling to touch the earth, whispered, "It's not just the island. Nature speaks to us constantly, reminding us of our place within its grand tapestry. We often forget, consumed by our ambitions and desires. But here we listened, and more importantly, we understood." Alelia looked up at the sky, her eyes tracing the path of an eagle. The heavens watched over us, guiding and challenging. Our victory wasn't in combat, but in resonance. That's a lesson I'll carry with me. Thalassa, her gaze on the distant horizon where the sea kissed the sky, added, "The oceans have seen civilizations rise and fall, watched heroes come and go. They hold tales of valor, love, and betrayal. But our story, it's unique, for it wasn't just about triumph, but about harmony." Orpheus strummed his lyre, the notes floating effortlessly in the air. "Music taught me about rhythm and balance. Every note, every silence has its place. Just like us, just like the elements, we created a symphony together, one that'll echo through time. Niketas and Alexios, ever the warriors, exchanged glances. Nikita spoke. We trained to fight, to defend. But here our strength was tested in ways we didn't anticipate. It wasn't about wielding a sword, but about forging connections. Alexios nodded. True. We may be warriors, but this adventure reminded us that sometimes the greatest battles are won without drawing a blade. As the day progressed, the group decided to revisit the elemental domains of the four winds, not as challengers, but as observers and admirers. In Zephyrus's meadow, they watched as flowers bloomed in response to the gentle caress of the west wind. Butterflies danced, and the very grass seemed to sway in joy. Notice's domain was alive with the hum of life. Trees bore fruits, the river glistened in the midday sun, and the air was fragrant with the promise of bountiful harvests. Eurus's cliffs stood tall and proud, guardians of ancient secrets. The east wind whispered tales of distant lands and age, old legends, each gust a storyteller in its own right. Boreas's icy realm, under the canopy of the northern lights, shimmered with a beauty that was both haunting and mesmerizing. The chill was no longer biting but invigorating, a reminder of nature's extremes and wonders. Each domain, in its own way, told a story of trials overcome, lessons learned, and balance restored. As evening approached, the group gathered at the heart of the island, where the journey had begun. A simple feast was laid out, with fruits from Notice's realm, fresh water from Thalassa's domain, and more. It was a meal not of extravagance, but of gratitude. Orpheus, with his lyre, began a song. It wasn't one of epic battles or legendary heroes, but a melody of winds and waves, of earth and fire. It was their story. As night enveloped Aeolus's island, a soft glow emanated from the amphitheater, a beacon of harmony in a vast sea of chaos. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the deeds done below. One by one, each member shared their thoughts, dreams, and hopes. They spoke of returning to their lands, of spreading the tales of their adventures, and of ensuring that the lessons learned would not be forgotten. When dawn broke, a ship awaited them, summoned by the now harmonious winds. As they set sail, Aeolus's island gradually faded into the horizon, its mysteries and wonders etched into their souls. Thalassa, looking back at the receding island, murmured, "Every end is a new beginning. Our journey here may be over, but our paths are forever intertwined." Callista, clutching her journal, responded, "And the tales we carry will inspire generations. For in the heart of every myth lies a truth, a lesson. Ours is one of harmony, of understanding the delicate dance of nature and our place within it." The ship sailed forth, guided by gentle breezes and blessed by calm seas. Ahead lay their homelands, and beyond that, countless horizons yet to be explored. But no matter where they went, the legacy of their adventure on Aeolus's island would forever resonate, a testament to the indomitable spirit of unity and the timeless pursuit of balance. A year had passed since their epic journey on the island of Aeolus. Each member had returned to their respective domains, but the legacy of their adventure echoed far and wide. Callista Sanctuary. In a grand hall in Athens, scholars and thinkers from all over the realm congregated. At the center of it all was Callista, her demeanor commanding respect and awe. Behind her, etched in marble, were intricate carvings depicting their adventures. The elemental titans, the mazes, and the amphitheater came alive in stone, capturing the essence of their trials. Her voice, passionate and animated, narrated their tale, weaving in lessons about balance, harmony, and respect for nature. She didn't just recount a story, she offered interpretations, drawing parallels with the world around them. Around her, listeners were enraptured. Philosophers debated the deeper meanings. Poets found inspiration for their verses, and young children dreamed of their adventures. One day, as Callista was concluding a session, a familiar face approached her. It was a young woman with fiery eyes. A descendant of Aelia, your tales have traveled far, even to our skies. They inspire a new generation, reminding us of our connections to the earth. Lysander's Grove. Deep within a lush forest, a sanctuary emerged. Plants grew in harmony, animals roamed freely, and at the heart of it all was Lysander, now known as the Whisperer of the Woods. He had transformed a once desolate patch into a thriving ecosystem. Visitors would come seeking wisdom, and Lysander would teach them, not through words, but experiences. They'd learn to listen to the murmurs of the trees, the songs of the streams, and the whispers of the winds. One evening, as the sun cast a golden hue, a silhouette approached. It was Niketas, clad not in armor, but in simple robes. I've traveled far, seeking peace. In our adventure, I realized that true strength lies in understanding, not conquest. Lysander smiled, then stay, for the forest has much to teach. Thalassa's domain. The coastline had transformed. Fishing communities thrived, respecting the ocean's bounties. At the forefront of this transformation was Thalassa. Her bond with the seas had deepened, allowing her to communicate with marine life, guiding fishermen to abundant spots while ensuring the ocean's balance was maintained. Once a month, under the full moon, she'd perform a dance, a mesmerizing spectacle where waves would dance with her, dolphins would leap, and the very ocean would sing. It became a pilgrimage for many. One such night, as her dance reached its crescendo, a figure joined her. It was Alexios, moving with grace and power. Their dance told tales of battles and truces, of storms and calms. As dawn approached, Thalassa whispered, "The sea remembers. Alexios, it speaks of a warrior who learned to dance with the waves." Orpheus's melodies. In the heart of Thebes, an amphitheater rivaling that of Aeolus's island stood, but instead of elemental clashes, it resonated with melodies. Orpheus, with his lyre, had become a legend. His songs weren't just entertainment. They were narratives, lessons, and memories. Listeners would lose themselves in his music, visualizing the island's mazes, feeling the elemental energies, and experiencing the trials and triumphs of their journey. One evening, as his fingers danced on the lyre's strings, another voice joined in, a harmony. Pure and ethereal, it was Elia, her voice blending seamlessly with Orpheus's melodies. The amphitheater echoed with a duet that spoke of skies and stars, of challenges and hopes. As the final note lingered, Orpheus remarked, "Our tales will never fade, Elia. For in every strum, every note, they live." Niketas, Alexios's academy. On the outskirts of Sparta, a new academy emerged. Instead of just combat, it emphasized balance. Nikitas and Alexios, having internalized the lessons from Aeolus's island, now imparted them. Young warriors learned to respect their adversaries, to understand nature, and to find strength in harmony. The training was rigorous, but it was intertwined with tales of their adventure. One day, amidst a training session, a gust of wind swirled. Leaves danced, and a familiar figure materialized. It was Lysander. A playful smile on his face. "Thought I'd see how my warrior friends fare." Alexios laughed. "Well, nature whisperer, care for a friendly spar?" Time flowed, seasons changed, and civilizations rose and fell. Yet the legacy of the journey on Aeolus's island endured. Their tales became legends, their lessons etched into the very fabric of culture. In distant lands, bards sang their songs, artists depicted their trials, and scholars dissected their experiences. Their adventure had become a beacon, a reminder of the delicate balance between man, nature, and the elements. And while Aeolus's island had faded into the annals of myths, somewhere amidst the vast expanse of the Aegean Sea, an amphitheater still stood, silent and majestic, its stones echoing with the memories of a time when heroes walked, titans danced, and harmony was restored. Many years had passed, and while the heroes of Aeolus's island had aged, the fire of their epic adventure continued to burn brightly within them. Legends spoke of their deeds, and their tale had become a cornerstone of Hellenistic lore. Every corner of Greece echoed with the story of balance, harmony, and unity against the odds. The reunion on Aeolus's island. A mysterious summons had reached each of the heroes. A simple parchment bearing the emblem of the amphitheater and a single word: return. The call was undeniable. One by one, they set sail, guided by the gentle winds towards the now mythical island. As they approached the island, it looked just as majestic as they remembered. The lush meadows of Zephyrus, the fiery lands of Notus, the towering cliffs of Eurus, and the icy terrains of Boreas stood undisturbed by time. In the center, the amphitheater awaited, its stones exuding a warm, inviting glow. As they gathered, they were not the young adventurers from the past, but seasoned souls, each bearing the weight and wisdom of years. Callista, her hair streaked with silver, held a thick tome, a detailed account of their journey. Lysander, still with an aura of nature around him, brought with him a sapling, a symbol of life and rebirth. Thalassa, Her blue eyes, still as deep as the ocean, carried a vial of water from the farthest point in the sea. Orpheus, with a few lines marking his face, had his trusty lyre, its strings echoing tales of old. Alia bore feathers of the most exotic birds from the highest skies. Niketas and Alexios, though their steps were slower, carried the same indomitable spirit. A voice, familiar yet different, resonated through the amphitheater. Welcome back, champions of balance. Emerging from the shadows was Aeolus himself, the master of the winds. Time had transformed him too. He appeared more ethereal, his form constantly shifting like the winds he controlled. You're probably wondering why I summoned you after all these years. Aeolus began, his voice gentle. Your actions on this island restored not just the balance here, but resonated throughout the world. You became harbingers of harmony. Now, it's time to cement your legacy. Aeolus gestured, and from the ground rose 7 magnificent pedestals, each crafted from elements representing the domains they had conquered. He continued, these pedestals will bear tokens of your journey, ensuring that the lessons you've learned and the tales you've woven will remain timeless. Callista stepped forward, placing her tome on the pedestal, crafted from marble and gold, intricate inscriptions detailing their journey. It now would serve as a beacon for scholars and adventurers alike. Lysander planted the sapling into a pedestal made of rich soil and encrusted with gemstones. The sapling took root instantly, growing and branching, symbolizing nature's undying spirit. Thalassa poured the vial's water onto her pedestal, carved from coral and seashells. The water swirled, forming a miniature whirlpool before settling into a serene reflection of the sky. Orpheus played a soulful tune on his lyre, and as he did, his pedestal, made of polished wood and adorned with musical notes, absorbed the melody. Now, anyone who approached would hear echoes of their adventure. Aelia, with a gentle touch, placed the exotic feathers onto a pedestal crafted from clouds and sky crystals. The feathers floated, suspended in midair, glowing with an ethereal light. Niketas and Alexios, standing side by side, placed their intertwined hands onto their shared pedestal, forged from iron and stone. It pulsed with a warm glow, representing the unbreakable bond they shared. Aeolus, with a satisfied nod, declared, "This amphitheater will stand as a testament to your journey, a place of learning, reflection, and inspiration." The group, feeling a mixture of nostalgia and pride, shared one last moment, reminiscing about their trials and tribulations. As the sun began to set, casting the island in a warm orange hue, Aeolus said, "Your physical journey here may have concluded, but your legacy is eternal. The world will remember, the winds will sing, and the elements will honor your deeds." One by one, the heroes departed, their hearts heavy with memories, but also lightened by the knowledge that their story would inspire countless generations. In the years that followed, Aeolus's island became a pilgrimage. People from all walks of life came, not in search of treasure or fame, but to understand the essence of balance and harmony. They'd walk through the elemental domains, listen to Orpheus's melodies, read from Callista's tome, and leave with a renewed sense of purpose. And so, the legends were right. The story of 7 individuals, each unique yet united in purpose, did become timeless. In the dance of the winds, the flow of the rivers, the rustling of As we drop anchor and complete our journey through the rich tapestry of Greek mythology, I hope the legends and stories have captured your heart as they have mine. I am Abigail, your fellow traveler through these ancient narratives. Remember, each story is a new horizon, a world waiting to be explored. Until the sails ours will meet again, may the stories of yesteryear inspire you for today and tomorrow.